guys, so today's video is gonna be about anxiety. I want to talk about resentment, anger, frustration and anxiety. Whenever we talk about anxiety, we usually most of the time talk about how difficult it is, how stressful, how exhausting it is and how sad it is, and all of those things are very true. You know, I've had anxiety for a long time. I have stopped therapy. I've stopped therapy for about, I don't know, I don't want to say it's been a year, but it's probably been around a year now. Just because I felt like I was reaching a point in therapy where it did not really help anymore. I feel like I have improved so much thanks to therapy because I've been in therapy, I was in therapy for about 5 years, which is a long time. And I've always been with the same therapist who just was amazing. But because we knew each other so well, and I don't know, if anyone has been to therapy or is in therapy, let me know if that's something you can relate to. I just felt like we had reached a point where we couldn't go any further. And maybe I'm totally wrong about this, but that's just how I felt. And I was extremely busy at that time, but I kind of took this as an excuse to just stop. As soon as I stopped therapy, my state kind of worsened a little bit. I feel like, you know, even though I can deal with anxiety now much better, obviously, because I just want to say for anyone who does not know me and who just, you know, watches this video by chance or whatever, I'm 25, as I said, I live in Paris and I'm studying and working as well. And I started developing anxiety when I was about 19. Even though before that I was always very anxious. It has sort of evolved at some point with big changes in my life and events that were kind of sad and, you know, unfortunate. It developed into a bigger anxiety, and I could not leave the house anymore. I could not take the transport anymore. I could not even call people anymore. It was just really big anxiety. And then with therapy, it got better. I said I stopped therapy and I realized that, you know, my anxiety is still here. It manifests itself in different ways and it depends on the time, on the day, on how I feel. Maybe it even depends on what I eat and how I sleep, all those things. That's for sure it impacts anxiety, I'm pretty sure, because everything's connected. To think your body is disconnected from your mind, I think, is a very old-fashioned way to look at a human being, or any being for that matter. But what really is difficult for me now at this stage in my life is frustration and anger and resentment. Let me explain myself. Basically, anxiety is something I have understood kind of right now, and that I know how to deal with, sort of. I know I need to take a lot of time for myself. I know I can't be in certain environments, circumstances. I know that I will blush, I will sweat, I will have difficulties to breathe, and those things I can deal with. I have understood that I'm not gonna die because of those things. I have understood that it's fine if I want to get off the subway, get off the tram or the bus because I feel too anxious, and walk back home, and I don't need to feel ashamed. All those things I have understood. However, I feel so frustrated and so resentful towards myself and also towards other people, and that's especially the last part that I don't like, because there are things I can't do and that I'm not even particularly interested in, like parties, or like, but you know, parties, it's mainly parties, but it's because parties are a big thing, like birthday parties, or when all your friends gather and meet after a long time, or with your colleagues, or any sort of, you know, gathering with people. This is something I can't do, and I have, you know, no real interest in these things most of the time. I'm like completely fine not doing them. But when you're alone at home and you know that other people are enjoying their time, being social, being together, light is really annoying. I'm sorry for that, guys. You know, when you know that your friends are partying and you're alone, when you know that your friends are going out, when you know that your friends are meeting people in bars, when you know that your friends are creating relationships, when you know that your friends are just living your life. And I'm just saying my friends because obviously it's the people I exchange the most with. And you can't do any of those things. It makes you feel like such a loser. It makes you feel like such an inadequate person. It makes you feel like such a worthless human being. And I feel it's because we live in a society that really endorses and really values, you know, extrovert and just being so social and having so many relationships, even if they're really superficial and fake. And I just feel so resentful, and I just feel so angry. And I also feel so angry at people because they don't really seem to understand. I feel like anxiety is something that people still don't really understand. My anxiety, I think, is also very linked to agoraphobia. And, you know, when people invite me, I kind of understand that it comes from a good place, but it's also just like, do I really need to say no again? Do I really need to explain myself again? And they don't take it seriously enough. They don't understand how bad it makes me feel, and they don't understand how isolated it makes me feel. And therefore I resent them. And then I resent myself for resenting them because they haven't done anything wrong, in fact. It's just really difficult, you know, frustration. And then there's also a frustration because anxiety is something, in my case, that comes in waves. There are times where I feel super good. I can talk to strangers and feel completely fine. I can take the metro and feel completely fine. I can just shop and feel completely fine. And there are times where I look by the window and I feel like I can't go outside. And it's just, it's not, I feel like I can't go inside. It's like I really have to force myself to go outside. And even then it would be too easy if just, you know, once outside it would be fine. No, once I'm outside I feel uncomfortable most of the time. I feel sweaty. I feel like I can't properly see. I can't properly hear what's happening, and I just want to go back home. Anxiety just brings me a lot of frustration. Those two things being the most important things. The social gathering and the attitude of people around me, and the fact that you can't really predict, you know, how you're going to be tomorrow, or how you're going to be in 1 week, or how you're going to be in 1 month. The third thing that's really fucking frustrating to me, and I've talked about this before, is just how people don't really seem to understand that social anxiety or generalized anxiety disorder or agoraphobia are things that are serious and are conditions and are very different from being shy, from being stressed, from being uncomfortable in some social situations, which happens to everyone, I'm pretty sure. Completely different. And therefore when you're trying to open up to someone, and it's not even because you want it most of the time, it's just because the conversation leads to it, and because it just seems weird to stop the conversation or not talk about it, and people immediately just say, oh yeah, me too, or oh yeah, it just really frustrates me because it's, to me, that's one of the most difficult things to deal with. I feel like it's so invalidating, and it's so, you know, for me it was so difficult to accept that I needed to see a therapist. It was so difficult to be like, actually what I'm having is not normal. It was so difficult to accept and to understand that I was not, you know, making it more important than it was, that I was not exaggerating, that I was not being too, you know, sensitive. I really thought at the beginning that I was just listening to myself too much. And when you have to do all this work to understand and be like, yes, I have something, and people constantly, perhaps with the best intentions in mind, but when people constantly make you feel like what you have is actually just what everyone else has, but everyone else is doing much better and dealing with it much better than yourself, it makes you feel like even more inadequate. And therefore comes more frustration, because I'm in a situation, I'm in a position now where I understand that it's not the case. It's just people that don't understand what really anxiety is. But it's frustrating. It's super frustrating. And I feel like, you know, I'm not someone who's bitter and I don't want to be angry, but it's actually making me really bitter and making me really angry. Woo! So yeah, I don't know, I kind of wanted to talk about it because, you know, it's therapeutic for me, I guess, and because I would love to hear anyone's opinion on that, anyone's experiences, if anyone can relate, or if anyone has solutions or tips on how to deal with it. Yeah, that's all I have to say really. It's starting to be a bit long. Thank you for watching this video, guys. Don't forget to check out my Instagram, my Twitter if you want, my Patreon. Really appreciate it. And I shall see you soon. Bye.